Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today we are reading, or we went through, the manga One Punch Man. Now, have you ever watched this manga or the anime or read the manga? Or anything?
I have seen the character, and that is it.
That is it. That is about my experience with it, too. I knew it was an anime.
Yeah.
I know that it's a very popular anime.
Exactly. I know it's popular. I know there's... So the one thing I do know about it is I have seen in like forums and online things where people would be like, who would win in a fight between One Punch Man and Goku? And I was like, why love Dragon Ball Z? And I was like, well, Goku, obviously. And I assumed, yes, he's One Punch Man, so he punches people one time and maybe it's really powerful or something. But I didn't understand the scope of it.
Right.
And so reading this, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. I mean, I think after reading this, we know who would win in a fight between One Punch Man and Goku.
Yes.
And that's Goku.
Still. Yeah, because Goku would take that punch and then get back up.
Well, maybe he'd lose the first time, but then he'd go train.
Yeah, that's true. Then he'd be like, that was fun. I'm going to go train and beat you next time.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
Goku's child at heart always.
Always. And so this book it's the first volume. It is written by, the story is by One or One. I'm not sure if it's...
That's true. We didn't see if the pronunciation.
I'm pretty sure it's One, though. If I had to guess, I'd say it's One. But like Fist of North Star was written by a guy named Buronson because he liked Charles Bronson. So I'm assuming maybe this is, One Punch Man. Maybe the dude's name is One.
One.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
And then the art, which is fan-fucking-tastic art. I could see this is probably why this book is so well liked, because the art is amazing in this book. But it is by Yusuke Murata. So that guy nailed it. I don't know. That person, I don't know the gender of that name, but that person nailed the fucking art in this. I was very like, whoa. Some pages in this are like amazingly detailed.
Especially like the action pages. I still could tell, even if something is going, like if there's a bunch, like a Dragon Ball Z kind of fight where everything is like going really fast.
Yeah, you
can see like all of the lines still like connect to where they're supposed. It looks really good.
Yeah, it does look really fucking awesome, and like I mean, we'll get into it more, but the art is just fantastic. So, with that being said, let's just get straight into this. One Punch Man is simply about a man who one punches bad guys.
Yep.
And it's a simple story.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if technically like you could write that like a one line on this and like that pretty much sums it up.
It pretty much is. And it's a comedy book though. Like it is an action comedy.
I didn't expect it to be as funny as it is.
Yes. I mean, it's pretty laugh out loud funny too.
Yeah.
There's some moments where I was like, wow, that's fucking hilarious. So, but the book starts off very actiony. It's almost like Akira. There's like almost a nuclear explosion in the middle of a town. The whole town is just decimated and destroyed. And what appears is a dude that looks like Piccolo.
That's true. He looks Namekian for sure.
Yeah, but he's like gigantic.
With like giant antennas.
Yeah, and he's like all muscly. Yeah, he's fully naked. I don't know. He's just
well, the action words are cleverly placed. So.
Oh yeah, true. So, but we see this guy's attacking. He says, we find out later that he's attacking because he's fighting for the Earth, and Mother Earth, hates pollution, and the people are pollution, and so he's here for that. But
he's Don Cheadle, Captain Planet.
Yes, there you go. But before we get to that, we see the name of this. I don't know if the name of this chapter is called Justice and Enforcement, or if that's just his little title page or whatever. We see like a nice drawing of One Punch Man. He is which is interesting. He is a balding young man a completely bald, Mr. Clean level bald, but young man, who is in a traditional superhero suit, we'll say, with a cape and everything, and that's what he looks like. And while what
I was just gonna say, I can't think of off the top of my head too many bald heroes either. the ones I can think of are in uses some kind of anime like Krillin and that One Punch Man.
I don't. Yeah, in America, there's not too many. I mean, the point of American superheroes is they are the top specimen of their whatever they are.
So they would have a full head of hair.
Yes,
because to be bald is to
be
not,
disgusting.
I guess. Just a quick that I have heard people like talk like that, and it's like, who cares, right? But like I watched this thing the other
As
day.
you say, with your full head of luscious hair.
That's different. I have a mane of hair that will grow when I get old and white. Will also be old and white. I'll be like Jimmy Page or something.
There you go.
But this just a quick thing on that, because I watched this thing the other day, and this lady was like, there's no bald people in heaven. When you go to heaven, like all your hair comes back miraculously. and I was like,
wow.
I was like, no matter what you believe, where you are on the spectrum of that, it was like, wow, okay, so the bald people aren't in heaven. No bald people.
I think what they mean is their hair grows back.
Yeah, that's what I know. But I just was like, what do people like being bald?
Oh, I thought you meant like those people go to hell. Bald people. Go to hell.
No. Yeah, that's what she meant. No, because she said that. She said it was like, oh no, you basically you have long luscious hair again.
Of course.
It's like, but what?
Like Jesus.
Yeah,
Jesus
I guess
long blonde hair.
But what if someone likes their bald hair? Then they want to be.
No one
bald?
likes their bald.
I guess. Well, some people do.
No,
anyway,
they say that because they have to.
Anyway,
They don't have a choice, John.
One Punch Man.
Anyway, back to this. So this guy's attacking the city. We get the little title card, like we said, that shows One Punch Man in his outfit. But then we see the bad guy's attacking the city. This is great. This is like the first kind of joke in this. There's a child crying, being like, "Mommy, Daddy, where?" And she's like, I don't know, 10. She's wearing a shirt that says "School Child," which made me laugh very hard. And then he goes to hit her, or like at first it looks like he's gonna like touch her, like calm down, child. And then he turns into like a monster hand, and he's about to slap her or kill her. And then One Punch Man flies in, saves the girl, and he's like, the evil guy's like, "Who are you?" And then One Punch Man smiles, and he's like, "Someone who's a hero for fun." And the funny thing is, so the drawing that they show One Punch Man in the title card is like a badass, seriously drawn One Punch Man. The One Punch Man in this comic is generally, maybe his costume looks normal or whatever, but he still looks like a scrawny.
He looks like
a
Caillou.
He looks like the guy who dresses up like One Punch Man at Comic-Con.
Are you familiar with that cartoon character?
No.
Caillou?
No.
It's a bald kid character.
Is it a Mr. Potato Head? He looks like Mr. Potato Head.
Kind of.
Yeah. But yeah, he's like bald. It's like there's no detail on his face at all, which makes him look so weird. Because there's so much detail on everything else. The backgrounds are super detailed, and then he looks like a coloring book for like 4-year-olds or something. Like, and then the rest of everything looks super detailed, which I thought was funny.
Having the villain and him on the same page is very much like, whoa.
Yeah. And so and he's like someone who's a hero for fun. And he just seems like really lame. And then like the bad guy's like, really? That's ridiculous.
What kind of a backstory is that?
What is that? And then he gives his backstory, which is, I'm here because of humankind's constant pollution on the environment. I am the vaccine for the human germ. And like, he's going off. And then One Punch Man one punches him, and he explodes and dies. And that's what that threw me off, because I get it's One Punch Man, but I didn't expect him to like. I thought maybe they would punch and he'd get knocked out, or punch and like fly back a bunch of yards. I know he was gonna punch them and like rip a hole in them. Yeah, he like punches holes through the guy or whatever. So, like we said, this is like really violent. Like later on, there's people that get their eyeballs pulled off and faces literally punched through with their heads exploding. You see brains and stuff. So it's weirdly comical, and then the tone shifts to super violent, and then back to comical or whatever. Yeah. So
and he's like, "Damn it, I finished in one punch again."
And depending on what's going on, like when he's in the middle of his awesome fight scenes, he is very detailed and looking very cool again. But then after the punch is done, he goes back to Mr. Potato Head looking dude or whatever. So like it's funny how they draw it. And then that's like the first setup, right? That's like, and then he goes, "Dang it, only one punch again. I thought maybe this guy would be stronger." So we get like a little. He's trying to find like someone worthy of fighting or whatever. Like he's kind of bored with the everyday
everyday villain.
Every day he
monster.
just one punches a guy, and that's boring or whatever. He's trying to get like some actual challenger or whatever. Then we cut to 3 years earlier, and we see One Punch Man with hair. He's got hair. He's younger.
Full head of hair.
Full head of hair. And it turns out he was just a guy trying to go to a job interview, and this crab man named Crab Lanty attacked, and he was trying to find a kid that drew nipples on him when he fell asleep in the park. So there's a giant crab man.
Marker.
Let me follow me here, okay? There's a giant crab man who's about 3 humans taller than a normal human. He's got crabs. He's got a human bottom, so he's got underwear like briefs and human legs and human feet, but his upper body is crab. He's got crab eyes and crab arms with the claws and everything. And then on his body, you can definitely tell someone has drawn circular nipples on his shell. And that is because a child, who we see later, has a giant cleft chin, which is very funny as well.
It looks like he's got balls on his chin.
Yes, it looks like he has giant testicles on his chin. He found this crab man asleep on a bench in the park and drew nipples on him as a joke. And that crab man is now like, I'm going to kill that child with a cleft chin. And so we see One Punch Man is just in the middle of this. And his name, we find out, is, what is it?
It's Saitama, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Saitama? Yeah. Saitama. Mm-hmm. And so we're not very good with names on this. So if we say something wrong, we apologize. We're trying here.
We are.
So, but yeah, so Saitama's like I'm just trying to get to my job interview. Sorry, and like they have this little back and forth that's kind of funny. It's a little exchange about like working, and he's like, I got sympathy for you, kid, because you got to go to a regular whatever 9-to-5 job and blah blah blah. And so he's like, I got to find some kid with the cleft chin though, so I'm gonna kill him. And then he turns around and he sees a kid that's got a soccer ball, and the kid's got the biggest fucking cleft chin ever. He looks like Bruce Campbell as a child.
He does.
And Bruce Campbell as a child, giant chin. And then turns out, yeah, he drew nipples on this thing as a monster, or this monster when he was asleep. And then the crab, as Saitama's talking to the child, is like, you're going to die, kid. And the crab walks up right behind him and is like, I see you're trying to protect the kid. And so he starts to attack Saitama and the kid, trying to kill them both. And this is where I guess the hero in him comes out. He's like, I want to protect children. That's what I want to do with my life. I want to be a hero. Like, this is where like my true calling came out. And he takes his tie off. This is like a pretty brutal scene. He takes his tie off and he jumps at the crab and he wraps the tie around the crab's eye and he pulls the crab's
as hard as he
eye
can
out of his head, which looks super fucked up and gross or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is like they're fighting and stuff too, so he's getting beat up as he does this. But like basically, yeah, like he was looking for a job, a shitty job, a salary job, and he realized what his true calling was, and that was to be One Punch Man. So after that fight, he's like, I must train, I must achieve, the training, or I must achieve like the level I can to defeat and to become a real hero, to defeat bad guys. And it says, it's been 3 years since then. After training so hard that I went bald, I achieved overwhelming power and became the hero that I dreamed of becoming. So why am I still not satisfied? So that's kind of like the little crux of this. He's just not satisfied as this hero that's so powerful he can defeat everybody with one punch. I mean, is that a trade-off to you if you lost all your hair but could kick anyone's ass?
I mean, that's a pretty badass one, but I could understand eventually, like, oh, okay, well, you're not really fighting anyone anymore. You're literally just like, boop.
Yeah, and it's literally like sometimes he'll like wind up to punch, and sometimes it's literally like dink,
yeah,
the guy's dead, like out or whatever. So
I could see that, especially if you've been doing it for a couple years now or whatever. Like that probably would get old.
Yeah, for sure.
So I am interested to see like how he
see. That was my only thing, and we'll get into it. But like one of my not critiques, but like how does this go on? Like how does the story progress if we already set up the crux of there's no one more powerful than him? So like how does the story continue for how many volumes they've gone on? So I'm interested to figure that out.
Yeah, there obviously will be.
They obviously figured it out, so I'm interested to find out how they do that. So Then we get like the second story arc of this, the second issue, I guess, because like manga is divided into like 5 stories usually, or like 4 to 5 stories that are like 1 comic each in length.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of like 5 comics in one or 4 comics in one. It's like 150 pages.
Yeah, I will say with some of the other mangas, part of the reason we hadn't like jumped in is that sometimes you have to read like 2 or 3 whole books
to get the full story.
To get the story. So it was kind of nice with this one. You only had to read the first one to get like a solid like understanding of like the character and like what's going on.
Yes. Yeah, and I that's why I recommended this one. I'm like, oh, I read it. I had fun. I want to read it again with you, and we can talk about it because I felt like there was enough here to do a full episode on, or at least just an episode on in general, because it has the whole crux of the setup and everything, and then leaves you ready to read more or whatever. So, but anyway, the second volume of this is there's 2 brothers. One of them's a scientist. One of them's like a bodybuilder, and the scientist brother develops a super steroid syndrome or serum. He gives it to his little brother, who's a steroid guy. He drinks it, and he becomes like Attack on Titan level.
Yeah,
like monster person or whatever. Which was very funny. I was like, oh, this is like, I think it might be a commentary on Attack on Titan. I'm not sure. Giant, the person looks like all the muscles have turned inside out. Like there's a giant, like skyscraper tall, thing. And his nerdy brother is like, this is great. I'll sit on your shoulder. I'm a mad scientist. And now I have the power with you. Yeah, I'll be the brains. You be the brawn. We can take over the whole world. He goes like mad with power instantly, which I thought was funny as well.
Yeah, I did like that he sits on his shoulder and talks in his ear like like the little devil on the shoulder.
Yes, so he does that, and then they proceed to walk around to different cities and just like one punch the entire city dead, like kill everybody in the city. Just,
So they put it up like, oh man, well he's one punching a city.
Yeah,
like he's gonna be
a big problem.
A bigger threat now.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I thought it was funny. They're like, Town A was just destroyed. Town B, he's moving toward. Like they just named the cities 1, 2, A, B. There's no name for the city, which I thought was there's no like actual. There's not New York. It's A, City A, whichever. So I thought that was fun. But so anyway, they're going, and then One Punch Man just shows up on the other side of the shoulder of this thing. He's like, hey, why is your guy naked? Like, you should put some undies on, man. And then like the brother, the scientist brother's like, what? Kill that. There's someone riding on your shoulder. Kill him. And the giant, being kind of dumb, slaps the side of the shoulder that has the scientist brother and literally kills his brother. And he realizes what he did. He slaps, then he looks down at his hand and he sees his brother's, I guess, dead body smashed in his hand. And he's like, no, my big bro, how did this happen? And then like, he's like, it's your fault. I can't believe you did that to my brother. And like, I mean, it's obviously the brother's fault, but still.
I just wanted to be the strongest bro, and now it's all your fault.
Yeah, and so they start fighting, I guess. He like slaps One Punch Man, and he hits the ground, makes a crater in the ground, then he steps on him and all this shit, smashes him down, and he's like, I am the strongest man. And then One Punch Man is like, tell me about it, like at the bottom of this crater. And then he's like, what? And then One Punch Man flies out, literally just one punches the head of this thing and kills the guy. And then he's like, overwhelming strength is boring. Like, it's like, and then he's like, oops, and it's like City B destroyed because the body of this giant thing fell on City B. So that was funny. And then the other thing is these chapters are marked by punches. So it's like punch 1, punch 2, punch 3, punch 4. So then we get the attack of the subterranean underdwellers or whatever, and kind of like Mole Man and Fantastic Four or whatever. I guess these people, or like the Morlocks or something, and the Time Machine. They like these people that live underground start attacking the city, and at first, they seem to be getting like one up on him, and then because like he's bleeding and stuff, I'm like, oh, he's never really had a hard time. Because even when he fought the giant in the last one, there was no blood or anything. He got stomped, and the dude didn't do anything. And so he gets punched. He's like, wow, they're strong. Then he starts like fighting them, and they're like giving him a hard time. And he's like, wow, this is crazy. I finally feel like I'm having like a hard time beating people. He's still beating them, but like it's like giving him pause. And this is like where you see some of the really good action in this scene because he's going all out. He looks like Tien in this, I thought, because they're doing like he's bald.
Another bald.
He's bald and he looks like Tien without the third eye. And so like when he's powering up, there's a lot of like really good like speed lines and all this shit.
The speed line work is
so good in this. So yeah, basically all the action, like when he's tripping people and they're like flying and you see, I don't know, the way that he draws all the action is so fluid. Everything just looks super, I don't know, like it's happening in real time. I'm watching action on the page, or, like actually happening. It's very cool. And so he's having a hard time. He's got to power up. We actually see like his muscles and stuff. And then like, he's like, I will protect the earth. I can't lose. And he's like, people just keep coming. And then like all of a sudden the king comes out of the ground. And he's like, oh, you defeated my men. I will kill you. And then all of a sudden he hears bring. And it turns out that was all a dream.
All a dream.
It was all a dream. He can never have any issues fighting anybody with a punch. You know, he can just kill everybody with a punch. That's in his dream. He's fighting people that actually are worthy of a challenge or whatever. And then,
but
the funny thing is, when it goes off, actually the subterranean people are attacking. And so he goes outside and it's just one punch. He punches the guy.
The subterranean king's like, haha, and he's like, punches him.
And it's done. He's all excited. He's like, finally, bring it on. And then like, done.
Yeah, and then all the minions go back underground. They have a little white flag. We're sorry.
Sorry. We didn't mean to do anything. Yeah. So then we just get like kind of a montage of like what his day is like. It's like him punching, him watering a cactus, and him just being like, I don't like my life. And then he like slaps a bug. There's like a mosquito, and he's like, what is this thing? And it won't die. It's like the same mosquito. He keeps slapping it and it won't die. Then we find out, oh, this is some like monster. And it's like a lady mosquito who's very buxom and flying around with a skin-tight mosquito outfit. And apparently she controls all like hordes of mosquitoes, that are like going around the countryside in large like giant blacking out the sky swarms, and then they'll like suck everything dry, all the cattle and everything and all the people. And then they kind of make like, they even show one guy, he's like, man, look at these idiots. They left the town empty. And he's like, I'm just robbing everybody blind. You think you think they wouldn't be so scared of mosquitoes? And then all of a sudden he gets swarmed by mosquitoes. And literally it shows them all small on him. And then it shows them all sucking the blood out of him. And he's going dry. So like his eye is like full. And then the mosquitoes are all fat like ticks. And then his eye is like shrunken.
Yeah, it's
like,
creepy.
Oh, it's gross. And then his body just falls down emaciated, like he's been dead for thousands of years, like a mummy.
Yeah, it looks like kind of similar to Indiana Jones and Last Crusade. Like, the body just like deteriorates.
He chose poorly.
Poorly.
And so yeah, basically we find out there's like a queen mosquito lady, and she's some monster.
She's like, yes, my pretties.
Yeah, but this one is different because as she's, fighting people, or as she's like sucking blood out of people, some guy comes out of nowhere. He's like a cyborg, and he's like, I'm exterminating you. And he like shoots fire out of his hand. He's like got all these energy moves. He looks pretty badass. He kind of reminded me of like the androids from like 18 or whatever, from Dragon Ball or whatever. Just like the way he look. I don't know, like he's a little bit more robotic than them as far as like his cyborg, but just his look, because he looks like a normal dude.
Yeah.
He's got like, 90s clothes on or 2000s clothes on. Like he looks like an emo kid or something, but then he's a cyborg. So, but yeah, basically he starts fighting her. She goes after him. She's got all these like crazy, like, hooks and stuff on her. Like, I guess they're like razor sharp mosquito arms or whatever. So she'll like cut through him, but he like rips off her legs and all this crazy shit. Then she's like, oh no. So she's like, oh, you think you can defeat me? I'm just going to call all my mosquitoes that have been feeding on blood to come power me up. So she does that. They power her up. Then she like pretty much starts tearing this dude apart. We find out, what's his name? His name is
Genos or Genos?
Genos.
Genos. Yeah, I'm
going to say it's Genos, but I don't know. That sounds right. Geno sounds right to me. Geno's sounds like he's Italian.
Sounds like he's Italian.
He's got a sandwich for you probably. So
hey, I got a Geno's here.
Geno's Italian subs. And so anyway, he like this pumped up queen is now fighting this cyborg, and we see One Punch Man has actually been like trying to get to where the action is. He's been running there. I don't know why he's running over there
when he can fly. Exactly.
He can fly, but maybe he
was still trying to maybe find that one mosquito.
Oh yeah, maybe that's what it was. Running. So maybe he didn't realize that it was killing everybody yet or whatever as he's been running to find that one. And so he runs into the cyborg. The cyborg's like, "Hey, you should get off the street. It's pretty dangerous." And One Punch Man's like, "I got this, bro. Like maybe you should evacuate or whatever." And then the mosquito queen comes and fucking chops this dude in half. Almost, I don't know, takes him apart. But he's able to like get it one like power move off where like it's called like the bug exterminator, and it's like a fire move or whatever, and so it burns One Punch Man's clothes off, so he's like naked now, just standing there.
Yeah,
and the guy's like,
oh, that's cool.
And he's like, but Geno's is like, "Oh, you're okay. I thought you were dead, because I had to do that power move." And he's like, "No, I'm fine. I'm just naked now or whatever." So now he's standing there naked, but then he just walks over to the bug lady who just tore Geno's apart. And they thought it was over, kind of. And then he just, boop, punches the bug lady, and she loses. And then Geno's like, "Oh, my God. You must teach me the secret, master.
Teach me the ways."
Yeah, so, like, he instantly becomes, like, he starts calling him master.
I will be your pupil.
Yeah, I must be your pupil. I must learn the way of your, of your one punch or whatever. And so he's like, I don't need a disciple. I don't want to teach you anything. He's like, "But you must." And he's like, for instance, you must teach me, like, why do you wear that helmet? He's like, it's skin. He's like, "You're so young though. How are you bald?" And he's like, "I don't know. I trained hard or whatever." So then I thought this was funny. Like, there's like, basically One Punch Man is like not having any of this. He's like, "I don't care. I don't want you in my house. Like, why did you walk in here? Like, you're not, go away," basically. And then he's like, Geno's like, me? He like interrupts him when he's like, "Can you please leave?" He's like, "Me? You want to know where I came from?" And he's like, I didn't say it. And then all of a sudden he goes into his full origin story. Like, I was 4 years ago, I was a normal human and like just starts reciting. I imagine he sounds like a robot.
Yeah.
While he says this full
thousands of years ago.
In the galaxy of the north, like we once lived in harmony, but then
it makes me think of the Ghost of Christmas Past. The Ghost of Christmas Future Past or something from Aqua Teen.
Oh, yes. Thousands of years ago, my people. Yes. It's very much like that, I imagine. And so One Punch Man is like, wow, that was fucking long. And it's even long for us to read all of it, too, because it's like 2 giant panels of just him talking about like how he, became a cyborg or whatever. And promised to his creator that he would fight for justice or whatever, demolish evil.
One Punch Man's like, "Okay, that was long. Let's shorten that to 20 words."
Yeah, that's all I need to know.
That's all, yeah.
So then, I guess on TV, they showed One Punch Man slapping the Mosquito Queen.
Yeah. And
we cut to someone watching that TV who is working in the House of Evolution, who is, I guess it's the League of Doom or something.
I guess they're going to, they'll play a bigger role because from here is kind of where we're finding out like there's things being developed here.
Yeah, they're like, she was merely a prototype. So they actually sent this Mosquito Queen out, and like they were like, oh, amazing. How could he beat her after she absorbed so much quantities of blood? And that shouldn't be possible. And so they're like, we must test him to see how strong he is or whatever. So they end up sending him, into his house and destroying his house, which I thought was funny. Like all these different monsters, and like so they send one that kind of looks like. It looks like Dr. What's his name? The robot from the one robot with the brain from Dragon Ball, the old man.
Oh, Dr. Gero.
Yeah, Dr. Gero. But if he had like a praying mantis body, but like the head looks the same and everything. And he's like, "My name is," and then he gets punched and his head explodes. And then there's 2 other monsters that are down below, and they're like, "Oh my God. The guy our warrior must be dead because I can't telepathically reach him. But he was pretty strong compared to us. Like, what are we gonna do? Like they're already freaking out, like they're never gonna beat him. And those guys look like a frog, and one looks like a slug.
Yeah.
So it's just like what, like samurai frogs and slugs and craziness going on. And so he then flies down and beats them. And it's funny because Geno's is like, Master, let me. And then before he can even finish, One Punch Man is like, boop, boop, and like punches them and they're gone. And then a mole man grabs, or a hand grabs from the ground One Punch Man and pulls him to his whole body into the cement. So like they think he can't move. And then a giant, like, I don't know, cyborg knight.
Yeah. He's like, are you a cyborg too?
Yeah. Like comes out of nowhere and is like, haha, you're trapped and I'm going to kill you. And basically you think there's going to be a big fight where like they can't, where it's just Cyborg or the Cyborg kid Geno fighting and One Punch Man is trapped. And like in the middle of this also, besides the knight, then all of a sudden a lion walks up and he looks like Mr. T or some shit. Like
yeah, he's the beast or something is what they call him. And then there's like the guy that pulled him underground is like some mole creature.
Yeah, he looks like an evil mole.
Yeah,
and
he's cute.
Yeah, and so basically you think there's going to be like a giant cyborg fight, and it doesn't go too well for Geno's, but then One Punch Man just literally pops out of the ground as he's like about to get his eyes poked out. He, like, the bad guy thinks he's gonna play with him and poke his eyes out, and he just like jumps out of the ground. He's like, sorry, I just wanted to see if you guys would kind of like give me a fight or whatever. And he just like boop punches all of them basically. After like they try to beat him, they can't do anything to him though. And the funny thing, the lion starts slashing at him, and he's got all the names. He's kind of like Fist of North Star.
Yeah, he's
like lion slash meteor power shower. Like,
yeah,
you know,
like you say in a move that he's doing. I like that.
He's got a name every move he does. And so, yeah, but basically, then One Punch Man is like consecutive normal punches and proceeds to punch many holes and explode this lion.
It is like he basically tenderizes and like turns him into like ground meat.
Yeah.
And just like it's just like ripping apart the flesh, and like there's like an eyeball flies, intestines.
You see entrails.
Yeah, it's super
fucking
intense.
Ridiculous, crazy. And I just love how it says consecutive normal punches.
Yeah.
Because he's got to name his now that he saw the lion name it. And then you see splat, and then you see the mole. Look at that, and then One Punch Man lands, and he looks like Potato One Punch Man, and then he slightly puts his eyes on the mole, and then the mole's like fuck, and then the mole just like digs away, and he tries to get out, but he follows the mole, and then the mole's like digging, and all of a sudden One Punch Man is in front of him. He's like, haha, found you, and then like he proceeds to capture the mole. Then like we see Geno has taken out the knight, and it's actually like a monkey.
It's a big gorilla.
A gorilla inside of a cyborg suit.
And he's like, haha, I was the third strongest from the House of Evolution. There's no way that you'll be able to beat all of us. The Beast is the second strongest. And that's when One Punch Man walks up with an eye from the lion. He's like, oh, you mean this guy?
Yeah. Oh, the dude's eye?
This guy that he's no longer, that he's like ground beef back there?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. This was like, that's the end. Like, you just see the monkey go like, oh. Or the gorilla like, oh, shit.
Oh, I did like, so the gorilla, like his voice has been like his letters on the page have been very
like
pronounced.
Very cyborgy.
And cyborgy.
Yeah.
And then like, I guess once One Punch Man walks up with the eye and stuff, it immediately like the font changes, and they're like, hey, are you talking normal now? He's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I was just trying to be cool.
Yeah, he goes like, sorry about that. I'll tell you everything you want to know about the nation or the evolution house. Yeah.
And just go easy on me. I'm sorry.
You're talking normal now. He's like, yeah, I was just trying to be cool. I was trying to be cool. Please don't murder me.
Don't murder me.
You murdered the lion. And so yeah, that's it. That's the end. Well, there's a bonus chapter, but it's just kind of like a fun little story that doesn't really have to do with the storyline.
Yeah, it's just him in middle school.
Yeah, and so but yeah, that's the end of this book. I mean, it just what can you say about it? It's just a fucking fun read.
It was.
The art is fucking fantastic. The jokes in it are laugh out loud jokes. Like a lot of them, especially if you're like really into the fight, and then he does something like the normal consecutive punches. That made me laugh out loud very hard. Like I was just like, wow. Like I didn't catch that the first time. I think I just read like, oh, he's saying his move name or whatever. I didn't read it or
Yeah.
something because it just looks like onomatopoeia or something if you're not paying attention. And so this time I actually fully read it. I was like, wow, that is fucking hilarious. Like I don't know. Maybe because it's also I read Fist of North Star where that happens all the time, and so like I'm reading more manga, so maybe some of those like they're kind of playing off of tropes in other mangas and stuff. So maybe that's why too is like I'm more in touch with the manga vibe.
Well, I caught those in this, and I will say like
good for you, John.
Yeah, and I haven't been reading a bunch of mangas. Like now, this is only the third manga I've read.
Yes.
So, but
we will read Berserk.
Yeah,
all of it.
We will.
All 10,000 pages.
And I want to read more of what was it, Junji Ito?
Yeah, we got to read Junji Ito
because
stuff.
I've been looking up just general of like pictures of and like descriptions of some of the other stories.
Yeah,
and like they're all messed up crazy. So I'm excited for I didn't think the horror element in like in this kind of manga form would be as creepy, but like some of it's really freaking creepy.
I mean, it works really well. Horror,
especially in black and like only in black and white.
Yeah, black and white, and also with like the extreme detail and stuff that they can add to these pages, and like the creepy, weird poses. And I mean, he gets a lot because his line work is so fine, and he draws characters really like gaunt and stuff. It just looks creepy and weird contortion poses and stuff.
Yeah,
I know you get weird stuff out of it, but yeah, like anyway, back to One Punch Man. The art in this is fucking crazy, and it really when the action happens, it really, really is above average. And even like when he's not going for the hardcore stuff, like when he's Mr. Potato Head, it's for a reason. So it just makes it funny.
Yeah, no, like
because the backgrounds are still detailed and everything. It's just
him.
Like, yeah,
and it's almost like that's how he sees himself when he's doing the action stunt.
Yeah,
and then like when he's back to normal, but then he's like goes back to normal. Yeah, because it's fun. It's like when he's in that action pose, like. When he was imagining himself fighting in the dream, or like when he like punches through somebody, it's like very much like he's like his physique looks like
he looks more buff and
and then it goes back and he looks like a kid,
a cosplayer
in a cosplay, wanting to be his favorite superhero. So it's very well done. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So with that being said, John, what would you give this one?
This is definitely this is in my realm. I want to see more. Like this got me hooked. Almost like the first time I watched Dragon Ball Z, I was like, "Oh, this is a funny character. Like this is cool. I want to read more. I want to see the anime now. Like I want to do it.
You're into it. You're a One Punch fan.
I am. I want to jump into it now. So yeah, this is great. Again, the art is absolutely fantastic. The story, like I said, way funnier than I anticipated.
Yeah, I didn't tell you anything about this book, so I was like, I'm going to surprise him with it being funny, but.
So so I am going to give this one. I'm gonna probably give it an 8. Like it was
solid 8.
It was a super solid story, and I definitely want to read more.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this volume a 7 because it's the first volume and it's like set up right. So like they got to set up. The punching thing, and I want to find out how they progress the story. It is a good setup, and there's a lot of funny stuff in this, and the art is great. But I think later on it's gonna get. The only way I can imagine, because it's so popular, it must go to like different levels of craziness.
Yeah.
So I want to get to there. I think that's when you get it to an 8, 9, 10 level or whatever of this book. But for sure, this one's a solid volume. Pick it up if you like comedy and you like action and you like reading those two things together. If you like Army of Darkness kind of things or whatever, like good, there's like horror and gore in this, or not horror, but there's gore and like action in this, and yeah, like I think. It's definitely something to pick up if you just want to have a good time. Also, it was a fast read. I mean, we read this in it's 150 pages. We read it in like a half hour or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I still read it.
Like that's the one thing I told John. I'm like, manga, it looks daunting because the book is fat, but it's literally 82 page spreads of fights where there's one word being said between someone or whatever. So like,
unlike word,
unlike Alan Moore or something, it's like. Hey, we can read this pretty fast. So, like, we'll do more manga. We're trying to do more. And that's why I'm like, I think we'll be able to read Berserk, even maybe like the deluxe volume, because that'll actually feel like, we read a full volume. We might have to not go through every section of those stories, but maybe just because it's a lot of story in it.
Key big moments.
The key big moments for sure. But, so that is One Punch Man for everybody. Definitely check it out. I give it a 7. John gives it an 8. With that being said, next week we're going to read the Andre the Giant comic that we were supposed to do a couple weeks back, which I believe is kind of like a cartoonist biography about Andre the Giant. So it should be pretty interesting. With that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one.